Lord. Hello. Oops. All right. Happy Monday. Happy beginning of the week. I hope everyone's doing well. Today, or I guess I should say this week, technology. Not sustainable. Okay, there we go. All right. This week we're doing First Generation Week. What's up, Musa? This week we're doing First Generation Week. First Generationers. It's a very interesting, to be first generation is a very unique experience, I'll say. I think we run into a lot of similar experiences, whether you're first generation African or Latino or Asian or whatever. I think there's like common experiences we go through, whether it's our parents having some kind of expectations of us on like the career we're going to take, or if it's them not understanding something that is outside of the norm, aka nursing, especially when it's like a creative, artistic path. I think we go through a lot. Sometimes our parents may not understand how the education system works completely, or if they did end up going to school here when like they first got to the country, it's way different now. There's just a lot of experiences I feel like first generation students go through. So this week is dedicated to the first generation people, and we're just going to be talking to different people. I think most of them are in the arts. One I know, the guest we'll have on Wednesday, she's in marketing and events, and Friday I think she's also in like marketing, branding, and she's like a blogger and influencer. So without further ado, our first guest of the week is gonna be Thompson, aka Tosin. I'm about to bring you on in a second, and yeah, he'll introduce himself, introduce what he does, his work, his company, and we are gonna get into it from there. And I'm doing good, sustainable, just living life.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How's everything? I look great.
Good. I'm doing good. I'm so excited to have you on, and I'm so excited. Essie, she kind of recommended you to me. So first, I kind of want you to tell people who you are, and then we'll kind of get to development a little bit and how like you met Essie and Pete, and then we'll kind of go from there. I should say, sorry, before you start, I should say that my other lives, people who are here have been like almost an hour long, and I'm going to try my best to try to make it like 40 minutes or 30 minutes this
All
time.
right, let's
Go
go.
ahead.
Let's go. We're on a race.
No,
All
take your time. Take your time.
right. So, as she said, my full name is Adewale Tosin Thompson. But for most people, just know me as Tosin. Some people just know me as Wale. But yes, just kind of name I picked up. Basically, I was a former Rutgers student. Graduated there, class of 2019, with a criminal justice and poli-sci minor. But even before that, I was taking pictures and doing a lot of photography. I started out like just taking pictures for my brother's clubs, his event. My brother has another company called All Eyes on Who, so I started there shooting for club events and little stuff like that. You know, just taking a little compensation for as I go. And then as I started to grow older, I guess like my idea matured a little bit. So yeah, so after my idea matured, I was like, all right, let me get this here. Let me form something for myself. You get what I'm saying? And you know, just that it more suits towards my vision, I guess. You get what I'm saying? So that's where I created Hard Work Media. And you know, it was just to like, you know, it was a little bit more personal stuff, I guess you could say. But as I proceeded with it, I started to understand. Like, I'm starting to understand a little more that like, it's once again, it's one of those things like your vision matures again. You
Mm-hmm.
get what I'm saying?
Yes,
So yeah,
for
and
sure.
then yeah. Oh, and sorry, I know I'm rambling.
No, take your time.
But nah, the next thing is, oh yeah, right now I'm a child care counselor at Bonnie Bray. It's for at-risk youth, at-risk youth, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
at-risk youth, and it's for juveniles and kids who just um just getting themselves together to have their second chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So and right, basically for the most part, they're like just try to work as like a role model and the best. I mean, I try to be the best role model I can,
Of course.
but, and yeah, and just you talk to them, and then you understand where a lot of these kids come from, and you just give them somebody like, for the most part, to just try to understand them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And before we get more specific about like your experience and like your company and like the work you do, what were your plans for 2020 before the craziness, all the craziness, the multiple crazinesses that have happened? Like, what was your plans?
Oh man. 2020 is a funny year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna call it bad, but stuff. It was what you can make out of it. I put it to you like that.
Exactly.
So 2020, I was working on trying to get a new position in a city of Newark. It was something I was just working on for a little bit, and
Mm-hmm.
but because of COVID and all this stuff, everything came to a pause. So and I was also just working more on like growing my company again. But I will say that even though that this happened, it also came with other, I guess, blessings. You can say. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like it gave you time to like just, how do you put it? Sit back and think, because the biggest thing I feel like is like when pre-COVID, it was just a lot of like, all right, everybody's just doing and going through the motions to try to get
Yes.
what they got to do, get it is.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like you got a lot of time and a lot of time to do stuff that you need to do. Like whether it be like, all right, I need to be with my family. I'll tell you right now, like this is probably like the best time for, I guess, my mom, my brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's just talking every day, or if you're not, you're dealing with yourself. But
Yeah.
either one is still it's still healthy for you, I would say.
Yeah. Absolutely. That was definitely the same for me. My eldest sister came back from the city, from Queens, and like it was the first time in a while, like all five of us were like together talking all the
Hmm.
time, like since we were like in school, like high school or middle school. So yeah, it was definitely interesting. And going from family, like obviously by your name, you're Nigerian, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm curious in terms of like your photography work and like your whole like photography company, how your parents kind of took that, like when they saw you doing your work or they saw you like really creating this business. How was it? And how did it affect, or if it did affect, how was it when you were also going to like Rutgers University? Like, were they ever worried that you may not go to school because you were so passionate about this photography? How were you able to, I guess, balance the two? What's
um
your parents' perspectives on that?
I will say at first, like it was never like the picture like perfect moment. Like it wasn't like, oh, my mother's like, oh yeah. But as time came on, I feel like it's not. I put it to you like this. I was also in what you would say maybe like the perfect storm, because at
Mm-hmm.
that time it's also like your parents, as African parents typically believe, the main three jobs: doctor, lawyer, or engineer. You get what I'm saying? And they think that's just
Mm-hmm.
so secure, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
my mother had to go through some stuff in her life too. Like at one point, my mother, she lost her job. So when she lost her job, it was like stuff like that. It kind of shake your reality, because it's like
Yeah.
what was supposed to be so secure. Because my mother, she got a bachelor's degree and a master's degree from Clark, Atlanta. So
Oh
you think,
wow.
she lives by like that whole like typical of, you got a college degree, you got a master's, you set. it wasn't until like when certain things like that happened with my family, I feel like that's when it opened up, because it made her like open up her mind more towards other things. And then when she's seeing like, oh, okay, I'm profiting from it. You get what I'm saying? She's definitely more. She sees that it's not just like it's not like a, how you put it,
like a hobby or like a
it's not so much of a hobby, but it's not just like, yo, you're doing something just to do it. You get what I'm saying? Because I think it's part of like the creative thing is dealing with like somewhat professionalism and the creativity part.
Yes.
Because it's like you could be as creative as you want, but being creative is like, it means, I'm trying to find the best way to put it.
No, take your time.
Being creative to a certain extent is just like you start putting out so much stuff, and eventually you're gonna run out of gas. Not to say that you can't do it anymore, but it's gonna come to a point where something has to like keep pushing you, or this and that. But the idea of kind of adding money to it in a sense gives you a sense of professionalism, because now you know, all right, I'm not just doing this just because no, this person is paying me for the service because they trust my service. So now it kind of puts that little, it lights the little fire under you, like, all right, I have to do this to this person to perfection.
Yeah. So it doesn't sound like your parents or your mom specifically was so necessarily like aggressively against it. Maybe was it more like she just didn't understand it until
I think that's what it is more. It's not understanding it, and like it took like I said, it's like it took her, what she understood had to get shaken up to taking another understanding, I guess. And it just like, because otherwise besides that, like if that didn't happen, who knows, she might have like been like, yo, go be a dentist, because that's the one she was really like shotgunning for. Like she really wanted me to be a dentist.
Now?
I mean, she still has hope for me to be a doctor.
Yes. Ooh, I feel that. I totally feel that. I finished school and my mom's still like, like nursing is still there. Like if you want to, like you could always be a midwife. And I'm like, Lord, like will you ever get it? So that's really interesting. And that was actually going to be my next question. Like, what was her original hopes for you? It was to be a dentist.
Yeah, in college, like I'll be honest with you, I was really trying the dentist thing, but just cause like I was still figuring it out. You get what I'm saying? And it's like, all right, my mom doesn't try to aim me wrong, but so I'll try it. But I still technically wasn't like, I was 50-50 in it. Then I started taking the classes. I was like, nah. I was like, yeah, this isn't for me. Like I just know, like it was just something in me. It was just like, nah, it just didn't fit right. I feel like it was always literally I was dragging myself to the class, like, and I think that's the main thing as far as being in college. Like, you gotta also be real with yourself and study something that like is interesting to you. You get what I'm saying? But as far as that dentist thing, I was like, I couldn't commit to it.
And how did you land on political science major, or political science minor? It was, right?
Political science minor and criminal justice major.
Yeah, how'd you land on that?
Why
didn't you just major? Sorry, and why didn't you just major in like art or like graphic design or photography?
Because it's not. I feel like with photography and stuff like that, it's something that you can literally teach yourself through YouTube and all this stuff. There's a lot of stuff that will really teach you in depth. Like, I learned a lot of it on my own. I did have like people who to point me in the right direction, but it was a lot of like stuff I felt like, at least just for me, I'm like, I can get all this information in one place. It's not like, I needed somebody to direct me. With the criminal justice, you said how to get to poli-sci minor, right?
Yeah, or both even.
Oh, well, I mean, criminal justice, all right. I was taking some classes when I first went to Rutgers. You know how you just, I was basically filling stuff out. I was like, all right, if I'm gonna do this dentist stuff, I'm gonna look at a couple other stuff that might intrigue me before I just say I'm gonna commit to this. So that's why I said I was 50-50 in it, because I had one foot in the dentist, but I had another foot trying to figure out where it was gonna go. So I took criminal justice classes, I took some art classes and all this other stuff. And the one I really liked most, I was like, yo, I like this criminal justice stuff. It's just like, even just talking about it, it's like I could keep. It's one of those conversations sometimes I could just keep going and going on about, and it's definitely something. Also, like for me, it was more reflective of my community, I guess.
Yeah.
Like me, I'm from Newark, and I had a couple of friends growing up. You know, they didn't go the best route, but I also could see that in criminal justice, like it was pointing out like, all right, factors and some of that, and yeah, just factors of like why Black communities are like hit so hard. And I feel like criminal justice really like shedded the light on that, and I always wanted to keep like going down for that I guess hole.
And does photography play a role in that? Like, does the pictures you take or like the projects you work on specifically with photography, does it kind of reflect like your interest in like political science or criminal justice? Like, does that affect the kinds of pictures you take?
It's kind of weird. It does and it doesn't. Like I know, like for me, I feel like it affects more so the style of how I shoot. You get what I'm saying? So like, in a sense, I see stuff like, and that's one of the big things I feel like when you becoming creative is more finding your style of stuff. Things like you try to do something that it might work for somebody else, it might not work for you.
Mm-hmm.
And just finding like your style in it, that's what really yeah, I would say that's what really like pushed me to like shoot in a certain way. I know that's kind of a rough way to understand it, but I put it to you like this: people who are around me in Newark, they really identify with my pictures. But some people, let's say, who's in Arkansas, may look at it like, that's not it.
Exactly. That was exactly what I was wondering.
Yeah, and it caters to those people, and even just certain stuff I do, it's like just I try to make sure it's kind of urban in a sense.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like it has some type of like urban, like sparkle on it.
And like the way you talk about like your passion for photography and everything, like when you started your business and you started like working on all of these things to like progress your photography and work and like develop yourself, did you find that like, I don't know, did you find that it was hard to kind of talk about these things with your parents? Because sometimes like I know I feel like I'm in music, like my parents don't understand like the music industry. They can't help me navigate this. Like they can't, like, they're not stage parents, they're not gonna help me find connects, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, do you find it sometimes like difficult to kind of tell your mom like how your work is going, because she just won't understand, like she won't understand the photography world? So it's like,
yeah. she doesn't understand it, because it's like, I mean, no, she understands it more now, but in the beginning it was like it's more based around what she knows, but that doesn't encompass everything in the world. So she doesn't understand that people will pay, let's say, $500 for you to take pictures for 2-3 hours, but it's all about honing your craft. Like, I can't sell you something that's not worth $500.
Yeah.
Now, but that also goes back to you, like to you kind of, and that also just comes back into like being a business person. Like, oh, I want to say business person. I don't know if that word was the correct one, really? But it is. But it's also just about, all right, just because I may make it look easy or something like that, it doesn't mean it's any worth. Is less worth. I mean, it's worth less than your set price.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah, because for me, taking pictures, the only thing it's kind of like, all right, people think like, oh, because you're sitting and just you're observing it, but not really taking pictures, you're not really doing work. But you don't understand that, oh, I'm waiting for the perfect shot, or I'm waiting for this set shot, and they think that's not something that everybody does. That's what I feel like my quality is. But they may think like, so sometimes it's like in the beginning when I was taking pictures, I was just shooting and shooting, but not really. It wasn't like it was less quality shots. Not all of like there were quality in there, but there were just a lot of things to look from. Now I kind of honed it down to like, all right, I need to take 150 pictures. I'm gonna look through these and edit this.
And it's like, how do you get like how did you get your parents to understand that? Like to understand that concept of like my work is quality. I can get people to pay for this. Like I can make money out of this. Like trust me. Like just believe me. Just give me like a few months and like you'll see. Like this is lucrative. This is not just a game I'm playing.
I think for me it was more so just it's weird, but I kind of literally had to. I know my mom is stubborn, but sometimes to be the stubborn person, you got to be more stubborn. So like she would see me, but she would see me like editing pictures like till really late at night, and she see that I had a work ethic towards it. So it's like, I guess like as long as you have a work ethic towards it, they can respect it because you're working towards it, and it's like they'll be like, all right, he like he shows a focus or something. It doesn't seem like he's getting out of hand, I guess.
Absolutely. I agree. I think that's the only way. I think that's the only way you can for them to understand is if they see you doing it, if they see that like I said, like it's not just a hobby. They see you working. They see you going out, coming back late, waking up in the morning. And you know, once you get there or once something amazing happens, oh, like my son, like I always knew like you were so good. Like God bless you. Like I always knew. And it's like, okay, it's okay. But yeah. And have you ever been through a moment, whether it was like during your college times or post that, where you felt like, I don't know, where you just felt like they praise you? Yes. Where you felt like there was like a real disconnect, meaning like I know a lot of people who are first generation, like once they don't do something their parents envision for them, there's like this tension between them. Like there's no understanding. There's always like this kind of underlying feeling of like I came to this country to give you this and like to create this life for you, and like now you're doing this.
I'm trying to think.
I mean, if you've never experienced that, like God.
No, it's not that I'm not. I'm trying to think like what time would best represent it. Like, I don't know. It was for me. It was just so many like, you're out hanging out late. This and that. You're out hanging out late. What are you doing? I'm like, Mom, I'm going to take pictures. And she's like, but she thought it was just like me playing around. She thought it was like me not playing around, but you're young. She thinks you're just going out to parties and enjoying this and stuff. Yeah. I was literally, for the most part, I mean, I was at parties, so I was taking pictures there, but it was also like I was enjoying while I was taking pictures.
Yeah.
So it looked weird to her because it's just like, I'm going out late. She said I'm going to New York. I'm going to take pictures in this club, and she thinks like, oh, because here's the thing. I feel like it's all African kids. Most African kids when we was younger, we all had a job, but we worked that job and was also using an excuse to go out too, like or be out late. Because I know when I was in high school, she was saying, 10 o'clock I had to be in the house, otherwise I was in trouble. Now I grew up, it's like they loosen up your freedom. Yeah. But for me, she loosened up my freedom, and then it was just like, all right, now I'm going out to parties. But now she don't understand. Now I'm taking pictures at these parties, and now I'm bringing in money. Now I'm also paying a bill here, or taking stress off of her. And I think that's also what it's about. If you're going to be like taking having an income, try to make it easy on the people that are you are an income too, I guess. Like, so me, like my mother, I'm still living with my mom's, and I may pay I pay a lot more bill. I pay up to what I can pay, I get what I'm saying, but it's something significant in the house. And it's like same thing with the rest of my family. Anybody that lives in the house, it's like you pay your you gotta kind of pay your portion. And it's not, you shouldn't look at it as like, oh, it's a bill, but it's a necessity into the family. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think that's also why a lot of it is a lot of why what I'm doing is I don't know, it's why I can keep going in a sense, because it's back to that family aspect. it's just like, all right, I'm living in a home with my family, and it's just like I get to see and breathe, and that's kind of why COVID was also very good. You get to be around the people like for long periods of time with your family and just be having fun and kicking it, as opposed to if you was working. Now it's a little bit less time. You got to catch each other, probably like 6 hour window after 5 o'clock, because people go to bed at what, 11. Yeah.
Sorry. Now regarding like Heartwork Media, what's
Yes.
kind of your bigger plans for 2020 or even like the next year?
I really wanted to like started making my media very culture specific. So at first, it was just like it was just expressing stuff of me. Now I feel now like me, like, okay, for example, I mean, as we all know, like George Floyd, who had passed away in May, due to police brutality. It That one for me, I try, especially for stuff that happened in the Black community, I try never to like be unemotional about it. I always try to sit and feel and trying to like identify with what I'm feeling. And then, but here's the thing, like in the times that we're in, everybody is useful in some way, like whether it be through media, art, technology. Everybody is like, for me, I feel like having culture specific media is very necessary to our community, because we have so many like media outlets telling us about ourselves and creating and controlling our narrative. You get what I'm saying? But it's like, this ain't true. Like, I'm watching you put some, like, I've seen a lot of stuff on the news, and sometimes, just News Channel 12. It's like, that didn't happen. And it's like, I don't know, it's always portrayed in sometimes not the best light. So I feel like having our own culture specific media, like, now you got somebody of the people telling us about the people. You get what I'm saying? And what's going on in the world and stuff, like who's just doing, like, for example, we have, I think, was it Jaden Smith, right? He did the Just Water, but it's also solving like economic issues, and but it's also relevant to our culture, because Jaden's Black, and Jaden's like, he's African American community. So if there's more people telling about how great we are and just being, I hopefully in my eyes it'll like inspire a kid and be like, oh nah, I want to be more like this person, and it doesn't seem so far off too, because one of those things is sometimes they only tell about people from like, all right, Harriet Tubman and MLK. Sometimes you want to be more you want to, part of why those people are so powerful is because of them being in the moment with the people, that it sent down waves. That's why I think even like people like Farrakhan is so amazing, and because he's a legend, and he's still like influencing a community like in tremendous ways. You get what I'm saying?
Today.
And yeah, I think that was. Did I hit that on the nail, or did I was
Yes.
all right.
Oh yes. And I kind of wanted to get like some advice that you can share for other like young first generation kids like ourselves, especially I guess we're African, or I guess we can specify like West African people who are like coming up, who might be like, maybe like they're 12, 13, and like they're also going through what we went through, like, or like our parents just don't understand what we're doing, and they're really trying to force, a certain path down on them. Like, what kind of advice do you have for them?
I don't know. It's part of it is just like I said. If you know you want to do it, you gotta like be willing to take like the punches that come with it. Um, like how you put it. The dream is free. I've heard. I think it's. Hold on, I'm butchering this up. It's the dream is free. The hustle is sold separately.
Yeah.
So you kind of gotta like, just because you want it doesn't mean it's gonna come easy. Like, I would love to like, who knows? I would love to be able to rap just easily. I would love to be able to just sing just easily. But part of what makes the journey so great is, what makes the dream so great is the journey. So, yeah, it may be like, oh, your parents is telling you not to do this, but if they're not physically stopping you, number one, if they're not physically stopping you, dude, you just gotta understand you have to kind of get it on your own. If you really want to do it on your own, you gotta do certain stuff on your own. It's about building that confidence too, but then to do it, because there are gonna be some times where it's like, all right, I'm not gonna do it today. I'm not gonna do it today. But it's the attempts that are important. Like the consistency to keep like attempting is what I don't know. I think it's something about parents. They respect it. Like, wow, he's really going to keep trying to do this, and as long as it's not something I think too. That's also, and this may not be all parents, but it's something about the repetition and just the struggle and the interest past. Like they can't sway what you're feeling, because if you're really into it, or if you're really like focused on it, it's something about like if they can't sway your opinion on it, that is also, I don't know, it's invigorating in them. So they'll be like, all right, I'll give you some leeway. I'll give you some leeway because you have a focus.
Yes, I so agree. And you said it so well, because I think that's something similar I've been seeing just in even my own personal life. I kind of noticed that like they keep seeing me like I lost my like traditional full-time job in April, but it's like even though I lost it, it's like I'm still working from home the way I was before, because they still see me getting up at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and working throughout the day, and then I stop at
Yeah.
like 5 or 6. So it's like they keep seeing that over and over. So like they're kind of like, okay, like we got you, like we see what you're
I,
doing, and like
I,
now they kind of get it more, and like you said, it's kind of giving them like, oh, like do you some now they're even trying to be like, my mom's like, oh, like do you want us to help you with like voice lessons? Like, well, she's trying to be more helpful than she's ever been in my whole life when it came to the music thing. I think because, like you said, like they've been seeing that repetition over and over, and now it's sinking into their brain. Like, okay, she's doing this, so it's really awesome.
I will say for me though, I'm because I'm being too like what's the word? I'm taking too much credit. I will say though, it did help because I had three other brothers that kind of like took the paths with it. Because my brother, I think a lot of people know my brother's name is Ladune, and he does Covered by God, the clothing line. I have another brother, Femi, who does All Eyes on Who. He takes pictures. Don't get me wrong, all of them took the rebellious path at first, so it kind of made my. I won't act
And
like
you're
it
the
was just
youngest.
like, huh?
You're the youngest.
Yeah, I'm the youngest. So yeah,
Okay, they
I
took
won't,
the
I won't act like I just like they did loosen it up and pave the way a little bit, but there was still my
yeah.
own battles. Yeah.
Yeah. I totally understand that. Ooh, that's a whole other topic. I'm kind of just curious. I have like two more questions. Okay, so like I have sisters, but like they're still more like the traditional route. But having other brothers who are still like you, still in like the creative, like not necessarily traditional route, like do your parents ever feel like, wow, like none of you like wanted to be a doctor, like not one of you wanted to be a lawyer, like not one of you want to be an engineer? Do they ever feel that? Do they ever make you feel bad? Because sometimes my parents be making me feel bad, like I have four girls and not one of you guys want to do nursing. Like none
uh
of you guys.
my mom's trust me, I know she feels that way, but at this point it's just like, what more can she say? What more can she say? I'm like 25. After a while they get tired of doing and complaining, so it's like
Okay.
it's almost like a test of will, because either
Yes.
you gonna get tired or I'm gonna get tired.
Yes.
Don't get me
Yes.
wrong. I know in her heart she probably still wants me to go be a doctor, but she's kind of more settled in my own lane. And like I said, with me, it's always about situation. Like I can't say that um like everybody's not gonna have my situation, but it's also just about understanding how to map through your I guess journey in a sense.
Yeah.
like you kind of got to map, because my journey is never going to be the same as my friends or my brothers or whatever it may be. But the biggest battle I would say is like trying to create a plan, and that's one of the big things right there, creating a plan, and physically physically writing it down sometimes too, because you can have a lot of stuff in your head, but if you don't put it on paper or like on a board or somewhere, it hasn't taken its first step into becoming like reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, at least for me, I would say. Like,
Yeah, I agree. Um, and my last question, I guess it's a bigger question, but like for the family, for like your family, for your like more extended family who may not be like your parents and like your brothers, who might be cousins, aunties, uncles, who are either
mm-hmm.
like actually on the continent, like in Nigeria, or who may be like around. Um, do they? A couple things. Like, do you ever feel like they're kind of, how do I say? Like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes like our extended family, they might look at us like, oh, like you're in America and like you chose to do X, like you just chose to be a singer, like you didn't utilize your opportunity. Like, I don't know, how's your relationship with like your more extended family, especially like the ones who are on the continent, in relationship to you being a photographer? Do they kind of feel like, oh, like he just wasted his opportunity in America kind of thing? Or do they feel like, oh, you just have all of this money, like you must be rich kind of thing?
Oh well, huh? I mean, the thing is, I think what part plays into it is back to the whole. My family is like very spread out. Like I don't have a lot of cousins. I have probably like one cousin that lives in the state of New Jersey, like one blood cousin that
Mm-hmm.
lives in the state of New Jersey, and then um, a lot of them live out of the country or in another state. So it's like it's one of those things too. They a lot. They don't have a real big understanding of me, but they know like, all right, I'm taking pictures and I mean that I'm taking pictures and I'm working. So as long as it seems copacetic over there, they don't really more say they don't really give me a judgment per se
Mm.
or pass anything, because I guess, and I like I said, I think I've been just lucky with my family. Like um I haven't really had to fall under that eye of, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, I definitely do have uncles that do that, and cousins that, I mean, cousins, even anybody who's blood or even just a little bit older than you. It's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? What are you doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And they ask you questions. You tell them, they have their own reaction. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, only person I remember in the back of my head is who could judge me is me. You know what I'm saying? As long as I'm happy, and that's one of the big things. As long as I'm happy, like, can't nobody tell me what I should do or be or whatever. And it's not always about just doing what makes everybody else happy. You got to be able to silence everybody else's words around you, in a sense,
Yeah.
and just listen to your own inner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. It sounds like your family's pretty for the most part understanding of everything, and like they're giving you at least like the space to like really be who you are. So
Yeah.
I love that. I
No,
really love that.
I trust me. It's just beautiful that I have that space right now, like, cause, and I don't take it. I really don't take it for granted, like, cause I know a bunch of people who's just like, they don't have the same space as me, or they can't tell the freedom, or they tell their parents of what they want to do. It's definitely something I'm blessed to have.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we're good on time. I ran 45 minutes and I got all my questions in, so I'm so excited. And thank you for being my first guest for this week. I loved everything you had to say. Let people know where they can find you, where your work's at, and all of
All
that.
right, so my photography page, soon to be website, soon to be just media page, is Heartwork Media. It's HeartWork Media. I know that's mad, a bunch of letters. And then my personal page is The Crown Returns. I have to spell this long one too. TheCrowNReturns. So The Crown Returns. And yeah, that's my personal page. I just post stuff I get think is just cool to me.
Beautiful. And any projects we should be paying attention to, or any initiatives we should be paying attention
I mean, I put a little snippet of like just it's a reflection on the times. I put it on my my regular personal page. So it's a video. I did say trigger warning, so it's more about. It is supposed to be a little bit how you put it triggering. Yeah, triggering. Yeah. So but it's just more of a very genuine through my eyes. Um, Definitely got my podcast starting very soon. I was actually just before you called me, I was actually just getting all the mics and stuff to work and doing a little
Nice. Exciting.
testing. Yeah, so
What's that
podcast.
about?
Podcast.
Yeah. Or can I know?
Oh, huh?
Can I know about that?
Oh no, yeah. It's it's just me and my friends, me and my close guy friends grew up with them, played basketball, knew them since kindergarten, and we all just grew up. And but we were lucky enough to mature together and have and see where our conversations grow from when we were kids to like being like young adult men, and it's just our perspective on the world of whether it be media, celebrities. Now, I don't want it to be gossipy, though. It's not going to be gossipy, but it's going to be more, just our take on things. And
All right.
yeah.
That's exciting. Well, thank you so much again for participating. I appreciate it. And thank you for everyone listening. This was great. Have a great night. And
All right, you
keep in
too.
touch. And I'll be sure to, if you want to send me, the link to your podcast if you have it, but any of your work, I definitely want to post it, or repost
Oh,
it.
yeah. I'll be sending you some stuff tonight.
All right. Thank you,
All
everyone. Right. Have a good night. Listen to Pay Me What You Owe on all streaming platforms.
Hey.
Okay, hashtag Pay Me What You Owe. And yes, thank you, everyone. And thanks, Tosin. I appreciate it.
No problem. Good night.